Hey everyone, Sergio with the Rideshare Guy. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by Lamont. You're from Delaware, right, Lamont?
Yes, well, originally from New York, but I live in Delaware.
Yeah, New York, so am I, but I'm stuck in the West Coast. You're stuck in Delaware. We both we could go
Uh,
back to where we came from. But
yep.
you're gonna do most of the talking and please introduce yourself. I see you're dressed impeccably. I'm like a bum. I'm dressed like a bum. He's dressed in a suit and tie, but there's reasons for that, which we will get into. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you doing, Mom? My name is Lamont Jackson. I've been doing rideshare in a few different markets. Delaware right now, currently where I live, Philadelphia and New Jersey. I've been doing rideshare for approximately 9 years.
Okay. Let's get into that. Why are you in a suit and tie, or in a tie, in a collar shirt and a tie? I mean, what's happening?
I do Uber I do Uber before I go to work.
Okay.
So I'm at work from 12 to 8, and my normal day starts at 7. I start doing Uber from about 7 to 11, then I head to my job that's in New Jersey.
Okay. What do you do, by the way, for your
Oh,
W-2?
okay. I work in sales. I've had the same sales job for approximately 22 years.
Wonderful. So you are kind of used to being in the service industry or the sale industry because doing Uber is the same thing. You're dealing with, I don't know, 20, 30 different folks every day, right? So you should be comfortable doing what you do.
I tell you, to be totally honest, it goes hand in hand. So
Okay.
I'm very able to adapt. I can engage in conversation, and I'm more than welcome. If a customer wants to be quiet, I know when to be quiet.
Yeah. So you take the lead, read the room, just like you do in your sales
Oh,
background.
I'm very well at, I'm very well at reading the room.
Yeah. So I see you have a sunroof on the car. So what kind of car do you drive, Lamont?
Oh, I do Uber with two different cars.
Okay.
Two of the same cars. I have an Acura MDX 2025.
Okay.
I have two of them.
So you use one for your regular job and one for the ride
Well,
share, or how do you do? How do you
I,
rotate?
I, I interchange them. I drive one like Monday to Thursday, and then the one that I really like that I'm in today, I try to save the miles. I do it Friday to Saturday, Friday through Sunday when I don't really do ride share in the weekend. So save the miles on this particular vehicle.
Okay. So those qualify for higher platforms, I'm sure,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, 100%. It qualifies for actually it for everyone with the exception of Premier SUV. I get Premier XL, uh, obviously X Priority and Comfort.
Okay.
And in Philadelphia, I think you even might get Premier SUV, but in Delaware, they don't have Premier SUV.
I have interviewed another driver from Delaware, and his name is Chuck. He has his own YouTube channel, wonderful driver. He drives a Tesla, but he's like you. I think he's in Delaware as well, and then he's able to drive in like different cities, such as he may get a trip from there to, Philadelphia, or in the summertime he goes to the beaches of Jersey. So how do you do it? Do you do things like that, or you just, basically in Delaware?
Now, from where I'm at is I'm in the city. For the where they talking about the beaches is Rehoboth Beach is about 2 hours away.
Okay.
I generally stay away from that for it's far about 2 hours, but on the particular tier that I drive, they don't offer uh Premier and they don't offer Premier, so I tend not to go there.
Okay. So you're trying to do mostly higher end trips as opposed to X and share and things like that.
Oh well, just to let you know, I've been a fan of your channel, and I've been a fan of you for I watched this for about 2 years, and I've ever said if I ever got to talk to you, there was one statement you made about 2 years ago that I watched 100 times that had me crying. One day you and your partner were talking, and I think that they started doing packaging, and you said something about, oh, so we're going to start delivering Coke or something in packages. And I just found that to be so funny that I couldn't believe you said that. I watched it about 10 times to hear you say, now we're delivering packages. You said we're gonna be delivering cocaine next. I thought that
Well,
was so funny.
well, no, it's reality, man, right? So these
Yeah, I
companies,
thought that was so funny.
they don't take any risk, right? All the risk is
Yeah,
on us. right? On
100%.
rideshare, packages, food delivery, whatever it is, they want to
Yep.
expand, obviously, but then I mean, we talk about it, it just made us drug mules, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
come
I
on
thought
now.
that was so funny the way it made so much sense, but in the moment you said it, I found it to be so funny.
Yeah, as you know, I have no muzzle. I'm not afraid of these companies.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but this is about you though. So, you said 9 years, right? And
9 years.
since you had the same job for 22 years, I'm assuming you do it part-time, right?
You know what? You know what I truly believe to its core, and I've been doing it probably as long as you. I dabbled with it for a few months, tried it like a part-time when I had a little time off of work. I think to its core, it's only done to get your side hustle on. I don't think it's too much up and down for me to do it part-time. So, and that's just my opinion. I enjoy it part-time way better.
Yeah, you mean part-time, yeah, because you said part, yeah. So full-time, look, I agree with you 100%. Maybe, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you could
Hmm.
have done it full-time and survive and thrive, in fact, to a point. But I think lately, last couple, 3 years since the pandemic, I think it's pretty much a side gig, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I,
And
I think and I think that's for a few reasons. I think the market is saturated and it's too much up and down in terms of with the money that you can make.
well, obviously you have no control, right? They just pay you
Absolutely.
whatever they're going to pay. Do you have upfront fares where you drive? Like you
Oh,
see the
absolutely.
destination?
100%. 100%.
How do you like upfront fares?
You know, it's funny, right? I've heard you say a few months ago, I seen you on a couple of different channels. Do you agree with upfront fare? Because to you, or even to me, it is a pay cut. But I honestly can say, in my opinion, the pay cut is worth it to me to see where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it has been
So,
an exchange, lower
hmm
lower
hmm
pay for, but then, ultimately, okay, on your other job, are you an employee or an independent contractor?
oh, full employee.
Full employee. Okay. So to me, it's like as an independent contractor, what independent contractor, like a plumber or an electrician or whatever you do, right? We
Hmm.
don't know what the job is before you even go to the job. I mean, I think that's asinine. I just
Yeah,
don't get it.
I agree
But
with you.
yeah. So, we want to talk a little bit about, I asked this question to everybody I interview on Behind the Wheel, and I need you to give me your opinion about it. So, give me two things you like about rideshare as it exists, and give me two things that you dislike about it.
It's interesting because obviously I watch your channel, so I knew you was going to ask that. So I tried to think about it in detail.
Okay.
So obviously, what I like about it is obviously the flexibility.
Yeah.
I'm normally a very routine person. I go out the same time every day. I can pretty much do my thing.
Okay.
Today I got up today because I had a reservation trip yesterday, like at 5 a.m. So I was kind of tired.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like getting up this morning at my regular time. So I decided to, wait a little longer. Instead of getting up, I started like I had a reservation at 9 a.m. today. So I started making my way about 8:15.
Okay.
So I love the flexibility. And two, the thing that I love that has worked for me personally, I do love the engaging with a person, a real person. Uber has done a phenomenal, in terms of me, the people that I've met doing Uber has benefited me in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And to be honest, and this is the second part that I thought about with you, because I knew you was going to say, what is it you don't like?
Yeah.
And I thought about this very hard, and I know you're going to have the trolls, but I thought about it very hard and say, there's nothing that I really don't like about Uber, with the exception of sometime they move the goalposts and they might say, well, I used to have a Lexus ES
Okay.
350
Hmm.
as of a year ago. At the last minute, I drove it for about 3 years. Excellent car. It was a EX ultra luxury. This car was beautiful. People got into it and loved it. One day I tried to sign in. The car no longer qualified for Premier. It's only
Yeah.
Comfort.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I really don't like that. And I do, and I would be remiss without saying that it irks me that sometime a customer will tell you that they paid X amount of dollars, and to hear sometimes that they take half of the fare, it's a
Okay.
little bit frustrating.
Yeah. But I think, I think a lot of people are stuck on that issue, right? If it's a profitable trip for you,
Oh,
it's for you.
100%.
To me, it's like you have, look, people worry about things that you have no control over, right? Such as what you said, right? They move the platforms, they move the goalposts around all the time, right?
Hmm.
That's why you don't go, I mean, unless you're really going to use it and do it with a purpose, you don't go buy a brand new car to do, ride share and things like,
100%.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So,
100%.
yeah, but unless like you're just going to the upper platforms, they pay better, quality over quantity, you know what I mean? It's like instead of doing 10 trips a day, just do one trip, get paid the same amount, and you move on, right?
It's funny that you say that, right? And to give you for an example, right? So I do hate the fact, well, I'm not gonna say hate, hate is a strong word. I dislike the fact that they take half the trip. But one thing that I agree with is what you say all the time. Listen, I'm in a market that tells me upfront fare. I know what the trip pays me. So at that point, I accept it. I have no reason to be mad because I knew going into it, what was it going to pay me?
Yep.
I have that time, whatever I have to pay. If I don't want it, I don't want it. When I was trying to sign in to talk to you, I just got a premier reservation 45 minutes away that paid me 115 bucks. So for me, I do what I do, and I believe in what you just said. I believe in quality over quantity.
Yeah, in life, that's you got to figure that out. I mean, it's not for
100%.
everyone, but if you have the car to do it, you do it. So 9 years, how many trips do you think you have in 9 years?
Oh, 8,000.
Okay, do you do both platforms, by the way, Uber and Lyft, or just Uber?
Well, you know what? Very, very interesting because I knew you was going to ask that. I did Lyft up until about a year, up until about, I'm sorry, 1 week ago, I just deleted the app. And this
What?
particular market, listen, in this particular market, in my humble opinion, you like, everything is market specific.
Yeah,
Lyft, the ride that Lyft offers, I really can't do. And for me, I price a trip where I go. Sometime on an average, the trip is a $20 different. Like if I price a premier trip versus a black trip, it's a joke to me
hmm,
what they're paying. Now, I was very into Lyft prior to them having the Lux tier.
right,
Once
right.
they did away with Lux, here's what I like about rideshare. You have to adjust. It wasn't for me. I'm not gonna cry about it. I just decided not to do it.
Yeah, they, Lyft, like, getting rid of Lux actually hurt a lot of drivers. They really did. And but I still would recommend one day. I mean, look, as we know, you're as good as your last ride, okay? So a passenger
Yeah,
could
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah,
something. I
yeah.
mean, I'm telling you, a
Hundred
passenger
percent,
could lie
hundred
about
percent.
you. And then, by the way, do you have a dash cam, Lamont?
It's interesting. I never had a dash cam, but I
Please get
ordered
one then.
one. Yeah, I ordered one when you said. But it's interesting. I've never had this is why I tend to do the higher tier. You'd be surprised. I've been doing this for a very long time. I don't deal with the riffraff. I don't want to deal with certain quality of people. That's why I've been very lucky to since, but I am going to take your advice and I will get one.
Yeah, please get one because you're doing enough trips. 9,000 trips is a lot of trips. And the other
Absolutely.
reason you should have both apps is because you never know, right? Because what this is, you're have to prove your innocence, which is backwards as well. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's a good thing to have. It's just, a few $100 or a couple $100, whatever it is. It's for your safety. And, look, man, you don't know. I mean, all it takes is one, Lamont, one bad apple. And,
Yeah, absolutely. But you
that's
know
that.
what?
Yeah.
I would say this though, to be in my defense, like I said, for me it's only part time, and we all have our own people do what they want to do. If God forbid something happened to me, Uber, and I had to rely on Lyft to do it, my rideshare career is over.
Okay.
That's why to me it's only a part time. I listen, Sergio, when I tell you I see the trips that come in, because we all know black is every once in a while. You can have it on for days and it won't ring.
Yeah.
I see the trips with extra comfort. I cannot believe the little amount of money that they paying. So for me, I kind of feel like, with my quality of service, again, I don't, know it to the extent that you do in terms of what my worth is. I'm a 5.0 driver. I have a 5.0, zero cancellation. I have about 92 acceptance rate. For me, you're getting quality.
Yeah.
At the point to where I'm resulted to take lower tiers, it's not for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, as long as you know your worth. So you said you love meeting people. Obviously, you're outspoken and you're well spoken. And give me like a couple of examples of how Uber driving may have benefited you over the last 9 years. Maybe you got some customers in what you do. I mean, we don't know what you do. You don't have to tell us what you do, for your regular gig, but interacting with people is a skill, right?
Okay.
And you have developed, you obviously had that skill from your sales job. So, and you translated into success, obviously, into your ride sharing, gig. But give me a couple of examples of like how you benefited from rideshare or Uber and Lyft driving to your regular gig.
Well, let me tell you, I have two examples, right? So my wife has a my wife has her own company in Delaware. She owns it's called the Juice Joint.
Okay.
She has a little it's fresh juices and things of that nature in Wilmington,
Okay.
Delaware.
Okay.
Now, I have met people in this car that just had conversation with, started a conversation, tell them what I do, what my wife do, people that has helped her get into programs. I've met a CEO of a particular company that has helped my wife bring her in, help her with grants and things of that nature. So it has helped me in a lot of different ways, all with a conversation and helping people.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
agree with you. And
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely.
problem with a lot of drivers, right? They don't treat this as a business. They treat it as like, I'm just going to do it, and no service is necessary. I mean, I'm not telling them to give him foot massages and waters and things like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, 100%.
But you have to be, because look, the rider does not know anybody at Lyft and Uber, right? They know you. You're it for the next half hour, whatever it is that they're in the car, and you're in the service industry, and you have to treat riders with respect as long as they treat you with respect because it's your private car.
Let me tell you this, Sergio. One thing that people tell me all the time, it starts with, and again, we could all dress the way we want to dress, but I take very strongly what you said, being professional. If you get inside these two cars, you would think I just bought them yesterday. They so immaculately kept.
Yeah.
And I think rather you do Premier, rather you do X, a person deserves to come in the car should be at least clean. So for me, I take it very serious, my appearance and the way that the car is kept.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your Lamont's day, right? You wake up, it seems like you do a lot of reserve trips and things like that, which pay better anyway. But
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about your schedule. Tell me a little bit about, what you do, what trips you pick,
So,
and things like that.
so let me tell you. So generally I try to do ride share. I can do it hours every day, right? Little increments. The only days that I tend to do it more hours are on my day off. Like normally I'm totally off on Wednesdays and Thursday. I would start at 7 a.m. and I can go up to 4 or 5. And again, some people might say that's a lot of hours, but half the time I'm just waiting for a ride. So for me, it's not really that much. But I drive every day. I start at 7 a.m. unless I have a reservation. And I must say I've been very lucky because I do get a lot of reserve trips. I go from 7 to 11, 4 hours a day, and go to 11, shoot to my job, 10:30, 11, so I'm not late at work. And I generally try to get about 5 to 6 trips a day
Hmm.
when I'm working. On my days off, I shoot at a goal at maybe 10 to 12 trips. Let me tell you, it happens every day. I have a goal of, when I'm working, if I can get $200 a day, that's fine. When I do it on my day off, I can get $300. Last Thursday, I made $600 on my day off.
Wow, how'd you do that?
Well, again, I've had some reservations early in the morning. To me, that's a good start.
Yep.
And I want to be clear to you because I know that this word that you say, I love this word you coined, formica.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I am formica from the standpoint of I take all premier trips,
Yeah.
whether it's far, whether it's long. I do all of that. But again, if you're paying me, if I'm going less than a mile and you're paying me 12 or $13, I'll take it all day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say all I do is premier, but I'm very into looking at things that are like you said that you stress all the time, profitable. I tend to do 90% premier, but I do reservations in XL and I do reservations in comfort. they pay a lot more, and they put some time the service fee. So I will do a Comfort and I will do an XL, but it has to be reserved. And obviously, if there's a nice sticky surge attached, then I would do it. But other than that, I don't mess with it.
Okay. Well, now I'm going to play the devil's advocate here for a minute or two, okay?
Okay.
Because people are going to say, hey, man, Lamont is not your typical driver. You know, he's doing it as a side gig. He's got a, new car. I have a 8-year-old Prius. I'm slaving out here. What am I supposed to do? Answer some of those people because they're going to come around. They're going to go like, Lamont is not like you're the exception. You're not the norm, right? But what do you say to those people?
Let me tell you, I say you got to look at what your worth is. And obviously, well, I'm not going to say obviously, I haven't always had two nice cars. When Jersey paid, back in the days,
Yeah.
all I did was Uber X.
Okay.
When Uber X paid and they had the multiplier,
Yeah.
I did Uber X when it was profitable.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't see, again, quality versus quantity. If you want to accept every trip, if you want to beat up your car, and I just think, again, let me tell you something. Delaware is a beautiful place to live, but I took Uber X one time in my nice car. It had a nice little sticky surge attached. The lady and her daughter put McDonald's in my car, started eating. So for me, that's just not what I want to do. At its core, you got to do what works for you. If that's what you choose to do, I would advise do what you do. But at some point, like anything you do in life, you should want to evolve.
Yeah, you make your bed, you sleep in it. I'm a huge
Absolutely,
believer in that. And
100%.
you figured out what works for you and you're doing that and you have the freedom and the flexibility to do so, obviously. Um, let's talk like a couple of minutes about business, right? So these companies have created this marketplace. They have ready
Okay.
customers for you, right?
Mm.
And you're servicing their customers or your customers actually, as well as you can. And obviously you can tell from the car and the way you're dressed and things like the way you speak. Um, the do you pay attention to this, what you do, even 4 hours a day and sometimes full time on your days off? Do you treat this as your own business or do you treat it as like, hey man, I'm just going to try to make a couple $100 and go home?
Let me tell you something, right? And my wife can contest to this. I do this every day.
Okay.
I I have this. Did I lose your search? You
No,
see
no,
me?
you're good. You're good.
Okay. I have I keep this phone on me 24/7 by me. If I hear that little notification tell me it's reserve trip, I'm looking at it. So for me, this is 100% serious. I don't play about it. I'm on time. If they tell me I got a trip at 6 a.m., I'm up at 5 a.m. I'm ready. I'm in the car. My clothes is ironed. I'm ready to go. I do not leave this phone not within my sight because I have sometime look at YouTube and I've seen a reservation for $400 I miss. So for me, I'm very much into this is very serious to me. I treat this 100% like it's my own business.
Okay. And some people are going to say, well, brand new car, he's got depreciation he has to deal with. But people, he has a job. He's not doing this full time, but still, do you look at those things like, okay, my expenses are this, and I'm driving a car, I'm putting extra miles on the car, although you have two of them, but still, miles are miles, right? Do you treat that part of it as a business, your cost of doing
Well,
business?
you know what? And I don't want no one to think that this is me being what's the word? I don't want no one to think that I'm being, you know, trying to seem like I'm all that. I would have a nice car regardless if I drove Uber or not.
Yeah,
So the car is just me. That's what I like. I figure, I've been working for about 8 years. I've been doing this for about 8 or 9 years. I do it every day. And I used to work in New York and live in Delaware, so I would commute back and forth a lot. So two cars is necessary. But for me, when I'm on the road, I want a quiet vehicle. I want to listen to nice music. So for me, it's more of my personal preference. That's just what I like.
yeah. And you're creating some cash flow. Why
Oh,
not, right?
absolutely. And to me, to be honest, that's why. And again, it goes back to your point. To me, I have two of them. Hey, people might say you pay this and pay that, but I drive them. The cars pay for themselves. I don't come out of my pocket with my regular job, and I have a little extra at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Genuinely, genuinely, listen. It's funny that you say that, right? Now and again, you. know it to the T, I don't know. I've done it part-time. Last year I got my little what they call it, your 1099. I
Yep.
made $75,000 doing it part-time.
Yeah.
So, so for me, I do it, and I like what I do. I do it, but for me, I would have a nice car, so I'm not going to take 1,000 trips and beat up the car at all.
Mm.
Sometimes I go out, I don't even drive 150 miles.
Yeah. No, I mean, you have found your niche, right?
Absolutely.
You have found what works for you in your market, and you're doing it to the best of your ability. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just beat up their car, beat up their back. A year later, basically they use their car like an ATM machine with no business sense, and then they'll just go, "What happened? Where's the money?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, because you didn't treat it as a business. You have to treat it as a business." We have a couple of
Absolutely.
minutes remaining. I'm going to give you the floor. It doesn't have to be rideshare advice, but in general, and you know this, I ask this at the end to everybody. Give us some advice, man. Give us some sage advice. I mean, you lived on this planet for a while. It could be about rideshare, it could be about life, it could be about anything you want to talk about.
I tell you this. In closing, I would say this. I thought about this because I told you I'm a fan of your channel, so I knew you was going to ask that. I think in this particular business, Uber, the way you survive at this game is you have to make adjustments. Adjustments is key. For an example, there was a time when, again, I drove in New Jersey, which I think, by the way, New Jersey is the worst market you could ever drive in because they don't tell you where you're going.
Yeah,
Because of what you said, you go to New York, but that's northern New Jersey. South New Jersey is a little bit better. But anyway, they used to give you remember when they had the multiplier.
yeah,
I used to go to they had where the Jets and Giants plays, East Rutherford.
yeah,
I used to wait there and get there 2 hours before, wait an hour, 3 hours, wait for the ride. If I can get a 4 or 5X going a long trip, I'm making 4 times the amount of money.
yeah,
I used to go to concerts. I used to watch that thing heavy. Now to me, it makes no sense. I'm not going to wait 2 and 3 hours for something to get an extra 20 or $30.
yeah,
You have to make adjustments. And I've made adjustments. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. And I think that I have a lot of knowledge. I remember, I watch a whole lot of YouTubers. This is what I do. I take little by little Uber Jeff, the professor. I take my own. You got to listen to people and put it in, and you have to mix it up,
yep.
and you have to do what works for you. I say, there was one time, I tell people all of this. They never they don't believe me. I remember with rideshare, I made $2,000 in one day.
Wow.
I remember people don't believe this about you. Obviously, you don't know about this, but in the north, there was a snowstorm that caught everybody off of guard. Bad snowstorm. It was like 5 years ago, and I drove in Jersey. At the time, we had the multiplier, so it was when the multiplier was there. They were giving up to 7 or 8X a trip. This is when Lyft had prime time.
Yeah,
Black was giving you $500. I mean, 500%
yeah,
more. The snowstorm crippled the state. I rode for about 8 hours, and I no lie, I made anywhere from 1,800 to $2,000. So what I'm saying is, I made adjustments. Now they're not doing that. Now I don't go out in no snowstorms. I don't put myself in situations. And one other thing you said, I hear people that I think would make sense, right? I was looking in Philly the other day on the radio or in the TV where a person got carjacked. You can't put yourself, to me, I don't put myself in no situation I don't want to be in. I don't drive at night. I'm not driving the weekend, the bar crowd, because that's when things happen. At the end of the day, you got to get home to your family and you got to do what works best for you. And when you drive late at night, certain things happen. When you drive on the weekend, you try to get that little extra money. To me, it's not worth it because they're not really paying out that much. So you have to adjust to what's going on. That would be what I have to say to a new driver that's coming in. You have to adjust, but they don't know because they don't remember, they just get what they're getting. They used to have, they're not used to know what the multiplier is. So for me, if it doesn't make sense, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. But that's like in life as well, man. You just got to do what makes sense for you. You make your choices, and then you have to live by it. Nobody's forcing you to drive. You know what I mean?
Serge, I saw in the news in Philly a car driver got shot. And I thought about why would you be out in 3 o'clock in the morning taking the Uber X, putting yourself in that position? I mean, it has to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, why put yourself in that situation? So for me, that's what I say. You have to do it when you know the times is good. But it's like you said, man, it has to make sense. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. I enjoy doing it. I find, like you said, my niche, and I don't have nothing bad to say about rideshare. In my opinion, it's been very good to me.
Yeah. Well, here's Lamont from Delaware. You know, my hat's off to him. He has figured it out, and I'm pretty sure if they change the goalpost again, he'll figure it out.
And you know something, Serge? I thought about what you said, right? So I always hear you say New Jersey, and you're right. Even though you're in California, they don't pay. But the other day I took a trip from Delaware. I dropped a customer off in New Jersey. I got a Premier ride in South New Jersey. Don't you know Premier in South Jersey? It paid $1.61, $1.69 per mile, but it paid a dollar, $1.05 per minute.
Wow.
So, I found my niche. So, it has to make sense. And let me tell you, Delaware it's small. It's a small, well, obviously the smallest state, but it's not bad. I do it what it works for me. Like you said, I accept all my premier trips, but that's all I'm doing, man. And I appreciate you. And I think you've been very good for the culture to where you've gotten all that money back for these people. If it was me, I think people, even though you might not ask, people deserve, they should give you something.
Now, you know what it is? Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we're talking as friends now because I just found another friend in Delaware. So when I do go to Delaware, I'm
Hmm.
just going to look him up. But Um, I do it with love and care, and I do accept the responsibility and talking for the community mostly.
Okay.
And they need help, and they need all the help they can get. And I don't pull any punches. I mean, I'm not afraid of these companies. And but look, man, I appreciate you doing this. I wish you the best. I wish you the best of health, and
You
please be
know,
safe, you know.
one thing I wanted to ask you, Serge, maybe you can tell me I don't understand. Right. How come when it comes to acceptance rate, right? I may be at 89%, and I might do 10 trips in a day, and my acceptance rate doesn't go up.
It's
But if I miss
broken
one trip,
clock.
but if I miss one trip, it goes down a point. Do you know
Yeah.
why it's that?
No, it's their algorithm. It's the broken clock,
Okay.
and it's because it's first in, first out. That's the way they calculate it.
Hmm.
And well, man, I'm telling you, Uber does things as smart as those people are. They have a broken acceptance rate clock. They have a broken cancellation rate clock. They have a
Okay.
broken rating clock. My rating hasn't changed. I keep doing trips, and then all those one stars just not falling off.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. But
yeah,
I say, you know what? It worked for me. I have a 5.0 in Uber that I was at 4.99 for the longest. It recently
yeah,
went up, and I have a 5.0 at Lyft.
yeah.
But thank you, and I appreciate your platform, sir.
Well, thank you, man. Much appreciated. Stay healthy. Be safe out there.
Have a good day. Thank you, Sergio.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the Rideshare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.